Alright, so in this video we are going back into Lanschool, and I'm still in period 7 advisory, and for this video we're going to talk about how to use the testing tool to administer a formative, summative, or ticket out the door, or a bell ringer maybe that you have in mind for your class. So all you have to do is go into testing and do create test. Now if you don't have any students logged in, you won't be able to click on the testing feature. So what you'll need to do then is go to demonstrate. So let's say you're sitting in class after school, no one's logged in, and for some reason this is grayed out like this icon and you can't click on it. If you go to demonstrate, you'll see the create test button as well. So once I get into create test, you can do a new test, or you can open up an existing test if you need to make some edits. I'm going to do a new test to show you how to make one. It's very simple. So once I go to new test, I can create a question. I'm just going to make something up for my advisory here, something really quick so you guys can see how this works. So you can create either a true, false, or a multiple choice depending what you would like. So today is Thursday, true or false. You can select the answer, and then you also have a short answer essay style question option if you want to do that. You can also add in an image. So let's say you needed some type of graphic to go along with the question. You can add that image just by going to browse. I use this a lot when I'm trying to quiz my students on different programs. I'll just use the clipping tool, and I'll clip an image from my screen and I'll drop that in here and add that so that they have a visual for the question as well. So once I hit save, you'll see that you've created a question, and then you can go ahead and read it to make sure. I'm going to do another one, so I'm going to go to add question. Let's see. Let's do a multiple choice this time. And then now to do the multiple choice, you need to check the answer that's correct, and then all you have to do is go ahead and type in your different answers. Oh, and I lost the answer, so I need to check that again. And then all I do is hit save, and then I can go ahead and add that in. Now what I've done, because I already have a lot of existing tests in like a Word document, I just do a lot of copy and pasting. I know it's a lot of front end work, but once it's in here once, that's it. It's saved, and you have it in here year to year. You can update it, you can edit the questions, add more, delete a question. So there is a little bit of front end work on our part, but like I said, once it's in there, it's very effective and it's a really nice feature. So I'm going to just add in a few more questions here. Let's see. Let's do another multiple choice, and let's go. Check the answer, hit a save. So I'm going to go ahead and save this test. So once I do that, I can hit save, decide on the location. So if it was with my drafting class, I could put it in my drafting class folder. But for this, I'm just going to save it into my H drive and let's call it Lanschool. And I can save it. The other thing that I've also found really nice is I can share this with other teachers. So what I'll do is I'll save the test and then I'll send it over to maybe Mr. Popek in the drafting lab at Joliet West and have him take a look at the test. He can make edits or do whatever, and we can share the test as well, which is a really nice feature. So once I'm done with the test, it's saved. I can close out of this. Now to administer the test, I could administer it just to one student if I want to, just by clicking on their name. Or if I don't have anyone selected, whoever's logged on your screen is going to be given the test. So how do I administer it? You drop down the arrow and you do Ask Students to Take Test. So right away you'll get a list of students that are logged on and who the test is going to go to. And then what we need to do now is load the test. So I'm going to go find that test that I just saved in my H drive, and it looks like this format, and I hit open. You'll see that it says test here. It even shows you how many questions are on that test. So we're gonna go ahead and do some options now. If you click on options, this is a key part of administering the test. The first option that you have is to ask the students to type in their name. I don't do that. I just leave the login because it gives me their login name and it's quick and easy and you don't get the funny names getting typed in. Scoring. I always show the students their test scores at the end. It shows them how many they got wrong. You can also do a score and question detail, giving them which questions they got wrong. You can save a copy of the students' answers if you would like. I recommend doing that. It's always a good backup, and pretty much it's going to save a copy wherever you have the test saved at. So right now my location is in my H drive, so it's just going to go into my H drive, but if I went into my drafting period 2 folder, that's where the copy of their answers would go to. You can do a timed test, so you can set a limit on the time. And then one of the best features I really like is to display the questions in random order. So this student isn't on the same question as this student. It's all random, which limits the temptation to cheat on a question and really makes it hard to do that. The other thing that's really nice is you can force a full screen. The testing window will stay above the other windows, meaning it's going to stay, it's forcing them to take the test. The only issue that I've seen with that is my students have dual monitors, so if they have something open on the second monitor, they can still see what's on the second monitor, so I have to make sure that they don't have any of the programs open on the other monitor. So I'll just stand in the back of the room and do a quick check and make sure no one has anything open. So I click OK, and now once I hit start, it'll send this to the students. So I'm going to send you guys the practice test. So don't answer everything just yet. So once I hit start, it's going to send the test to those students. So while they're taking it, you can see that everyone's on the test. You'll see working on test. You will get their score so far depending on where they're at in the test. And it also tells you if they haven't answered a question. So for example, Mr. Griffin here has only answered one question so far. So the green check mark tells me that he answered it correctly. The blue question mark tells me that he still has not answered those questions. And the red exclamation point tells me that that student has answered that question incorrectly. So why don't you guys go ahead and just finish the test for me? Answer all the questions. So as they finish, you'll notice that it says done working on test. When you guys are done, just make sure you hit the finish button. Sorry, I'm talking to them at the same time. When they're done with the test, you'll notice they need to hit the finish button, and it'll give them their score and tell them how they did. And then it'll tell you that they're done taking the test. Now, what I do from here is there's another nice feature in Lanschool, and that allows you to export the data. So once I hit export, it says, do you want to export this data? Now notice it's going to go into wherever my test was saved originally. So I can hit yes, and as soon as I do that, this is the window that'll pop up. It gives me a breakdown of the questions, the answers. The one that I always use is the summary. I pretty much end up erasing all of these and just keeping the summary because that's all I really need. It gives you the student's name, the average of the class, the average of the question. So that's really helpful. So for example, question number 1, not one student got it correct. So I can go ahead and maybe look into that question if it needs to be reworded, or decide on if I need to get rid of that question altogether, or did I not cover that area enough with this class, and do I have to go back over it? So that's a really cool feature. So I can take these answers I can take these results, plug them right into my hack, and that's it. It grades it for me, which is really, really cool. So let me talk about the other thing that the students see when they're taking the test. I'm just going to type in some gibberish here. So this is kind of the same format of what the student sees when it pops up on their screen. They'll see the list of questions on the left-hand bar here. They'll see their question and answer, and then it'll say either it'll say next question. So they can answer the question and go to the next one, or they can just hit next and skip that question and come back to it later. Now, how do they know which questions they've answered? On the left-hand side here, next to question 1, there's a blue question mark. That'll tell the students that they have not answered that question yet. If they see a check mark there, that tells them that question 1 has been answered. So any questions with check marks are done. Any of them with the question mark still have not been answered. So you can move around in the test still and go back and forth. So that is how I'm using the testing option to give formative or summative or tickets out the door or a bell ringer in my class. It's really cool. It allows me to grade much quicker because it does everything for me. It allows me to see the data, I can export it, and I can save a copy of it for myself. So that's how I'm using it.